Hey, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Roosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Peyton Heben. He works in A&R and artist management for River House Artists, and he works with artists such as Hudson, Westbrook, and Hayes.
Check it out. It's been an interesting journey. We still have no idea what we're fucking doing. But
Nobody does.
Exactly. So,
no one does. That is true.
But it's been, it's definitely been, it's been a learning experience. If nothing else, maybe Brian and I are slightly better at conversing now than we were 9 months ago. But I don't even know if that's true. You know? So what got you into, what got you even into this world? Do you have a background in music as a performer at all, or like how did all this go?
I mean, it's so random, and I feel like I've heard a lot of stories that are similar to this, where the person in the business just has no prior experience with it.
Yeah, that might be kind of best case scenario, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that might be the move.
I mean, I guess just before I get into like my story, I'm a firm believer in. I think going to school for it is great, but there's a lot of people here that don't have that opportunity.
Yeah. And
experience is the best tool.
Oh, for sure.
And that's all I have.
We talk about this all the time. We're like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to like just shit on. If you have the opportunity to go learn in any capacity about the thing that you're interested in, I don't think
just go do the thing.
But like, just go do the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
you'll learn more doing that than you will in 4 years of school. I think.
For sure.
Right?
We've talked about that a lot on the show. It's like, just do the fucking thing. Just do it.
Because you could learn the basics. Like, I mean, if you wanted to get into publishing, you can learn all the stuff about the legalities of it all, but you don't like learn the pitching part and booking the calendars and doing all that until you're doing
once
it.
you're like boots on the ground, then you actually realize all of the stuff that's involved in actually doing the thing. So you didn't have much music background at all, or?
So I grew up in a household that listened to a lot of things. Like my mom was really big into like female country, so she was listening to Shania and Reba, and then my grandma was George Strait.
Oh, nice. That's a good mix right there.
My grandma listened to this George Strait CD, and we had it in the car. It was like it was stuck in there. We were listening to it every single morning, every single night. And the song "Baby Blue" by George Strait was something that always stuck with me. And then my dad was like Nickelback, Hinder, Three Doors Down.
So you got like a nice variety out of the gate. That's good.
Yeah. So I was listening to the Nickelback is, I think, one of the greatest bands of all time.
There you go.
But
Alexa's a huge Nickelback fan.
Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Fire.
And the hate is fake.
I
kind of think so
do.
too.
I have always. They are one of those bands that gets memed on super hard, and like they're not my favorite band, but I do think like people go a little too overboard on like the Nickelback hate. Like they're not that bad.
I can get down with it.
It's not my personal thing, but
you might get a divorce after this episode, and Alexa hearing this. But like, you know,
I just think that the hate's unwarranted, is what I was trying to say.
There we go. Okay.
I don't know what even started that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my entire life it's been like a meme to like just shit on Nickelback for no reason.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't tell you.
Is there like an origin for that? Did they like do something to piss people off?
Well, it's like now people like the Benson Boone. Benson Boone had a moment and just absolutely blew up, and then the TikTok was like, "Hey, Benson Boone actually sucks." And then now people think Benson Boone sucks. I'm like, I don't understand. He doesn't suck.
I feel like he just blew up.
Yeah,
right.
It's so
they already
weird.
think he sucks.
Yeah, he just yells.
The funny thing, though, I feel like, to your point, I feel like in this moment in time, the life cycle of those things are so quick. But I feel like with Nickelback, it's been like at least 25 years of this being like a legit meme.
When the internet wasn't as big, maybe it was like Facebook. Maybe Facebook started it all. Someone was just like, "Hey, Nickelback sucks," and everyone's like, "Yeah, bro." We're gonna start saying that.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, so I grew up listening to a whole bunch of stuff, and I always wanted to be a Marine or a firefighter. And then as I got older, I guess those are the things like that could be attainable. Yeah, I guess you could say. But my dad always, both my parents just wanted me to go to college. So I was like, you can do whatever you want after, but you have to go to college. And obviously to be a Marine or a firefighter, you don't necessarily have to have a degree. And I grew up playing sports, so school was never my thing.
I think that is one through line with all people in, whether they're musicians or just have a foot in the music world, I think not loving school in like an intellectual sense.
Yeah.
And you have some of this, I mean, God knows we've had so many just ridiculously intelligent people sitting here who are in this world, and it's like that. It just doesn't fit the circuitry for whatever
definitely
this weird thing
yeah.
is. It's like, but that wasn't our thing.
It's the creativity in everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're just like, we're the guys that wanted to sit and draw and like
It's
write
like,
dumb shit on paper instead of.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So after high school, I mean, I wanted to go play college basketball, if anything. And the opportunities that I got were ones that I knew that if I went, I'd be unhappy.
Okay.
So just because it was like in middle of nowhere, small school, like probably wouldn't even play. So I decided to go to Georgia Southern with my high school best friend. And I had never moved away from home, let alone to another state.
Yeah.
And I was 18.
Where are you from originally?
Fort Myers, Florida.
Oh, okay. Very nice. That's so weird. I was just in Fort Myers. I was in Estero. I flew into Fort Myers. I was in Estero like 2 days ago to see family. So that's so funny. Small world.
I feel like everyone has a family in Bonita, Estero, Fort Myers.
So bizarre. I was literally in Fort Myers 48 hours ago. So that's so funny.
I'm sorry that you had to.
No, it was great.
No, it's booming now. So I went to Georgia Southern, and I rushed a fraternity, like didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and I got terrible grades. But the one thing that I got out of being there was, for some reason, Statesboro, Georgia has a really booming country music scene.
Oh.
So artists like Luke Bryan, Cole Swindell, they both were Sigma Chi's there, and like, I mean, they're like legends there.
Yeah.
And then now you have people, like when I was there, it was like Gavin Adcock, who else was coming up? I mean,
I had no idea that was that's where a lot of that was kind of concentrated.
Oh,
No
yeah.
idea.
Well, like Dylan Marlowe was playing cover gigs at the bars there while I was a student.
Huh.
So I would like go see him and I'd be like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like I get to watch this firsthand. Now he's a major label act, like on the radio with number ones. And then there were artists like Muscadine Bloodline, John Langston, a bunch of artists that are booming now. They were coming through and playing the smaller bars. So it was just like cool to see that. And I kind of fell in love with the process of it all and like watching them grow and keeping in touch.
Yeah.
So through that, I just like reached out to the people that would come through. And I met an artist named Hayden Kaufman, and his manager is from Fort Myers.
Okay.
Or what his manager at the time was from Fort Myers, had gone to Auburn, dropped out, moved to Nashville. And so I was like, dude, I just want to do what you do.
Yeah.
Like, I want to learn about what you do. And I just did. I just asked him a bunch of questions, and that kind of stuck with me. And I ended up failing out of Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
It's a party school.
Yeah.
Moved to Florida and lived in Orlando.
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to be that guy that fails out of college and moves back home.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I just decided to go to Orlando. I went to a junior college over there, and I just wrote down my goals. I was like, what do I want to get out of all this? So I wrote down my goals, and one of them was work in the country music business, and I didn't know in what capacity.
Yeah.
So COVID hits. I moved back home.
Okay.
And at this time, I had reached out to a bunch of people on Instagram in the country music business.
Gotcha.
And I was having drinks with my buddy, and one thing about Fort Myers is there's a lot of old money.
Yes.
So he knew a bunch of people that had older money or that owned like successful companies in the area. He was like, dude, when COVID's over, we should start like a country music festival in Fort Myers. And I was like, sick. I'm down.
I'm sold.
He's like, you have the connections in Nashville to make it happen, and I have the connections to get sponsorship money and to make it happen financially. So COVID ends, it happens, and we had the festival. But we had, I think, 3 or 4 artists play, and one of them was a local guy that was about 23 at the time. He had played baseball at Florida State, moved to Nashville, went to Lipscomb for his 5th year.
Okay.
And was doing music here while playing ball. Then after all that, moved back home. I was like, oh, we need a local guy to open. So I book him to play, and he was like, dude, I have no idea like how all this works. And we got to talking. He's like, if you want to be in the music business, you should just try managing me and just try and figure it out. I don't necessarily know if I would advise that to people, don't try to say you're a
Some
manager if you have
trial
no
by
idea
fire,
what you're
but
doing.
hey, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Gotta fake it till you make it.
100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I started managing him, and at the time, he was selling real estate while doing music and was trained to be a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
And he had a ship date for that November, I think, and this was like April, May. He's like, if you can get me traction by August, I'll move to Nashville with you. So I was like, cool. He had a video. We did a whole bunch of stuff. Went up to Nashville, came up to Nashville, and recorded a song, put it on TikTok, and it blew up. Damn. Yeah. So then he was like, that's enough traction for me. So we moved up to Nashville, not but a couple months later.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that was like May-ish. We moved in July. Yeah. So then through all that, like I was driving back and forth a lot because I guess. So when I moved to Fort Myers from Orlando after like in the midst of COVID.
Gotcha.
And I went to Florida Gulf Coast and I got my degree in entrepreneurship there.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
But when we moved to Nashville, I was still in school. I just moved my classes online so that I could be here. But I was still coming back and forth a lot.
Makes sense.
And I was driving, and I still had no idea about the music business. I was just trying to figure it out and network. So there's a company called Raised Rowdy that does a lot of events. And at the time, they were down at the old Live Oak on Demumbrian.
Okay.
They were doing stuff down there. But they had a podcast. One of the guys that owns it, Matt Burrell, he had a podcast called In the Round or something like that. And he would always bring on artists. It was a lot of artists and songwriters and people in that vein. But every now and then he would have like industry professionals on. And on my drive, I would just listen to those and I would take notes of the people that they would name drop and like, oh, when we were at Live Oak and so was there and blah, blah, blah. And this is what they do. I would just take note of that, look them up on Instagram and see what they look like. And I would go to Live Oak every time I was in Nashville every night. And I would just sit there and scout. I'd be like,
that's smart.
I'd be like, who have they mentioned that I know their name and what they do and what they look like that I can go up and be like, hey man, I heard you on this, things like that.
Because I'm curious, not to sort of derail the trajectory here, but on a sort of like nuts and bolts level, when someone like that comes to you or you come to someone like that and you decide, okay, I'm going to take on this managerial role with this person, as someone who doesn't have a background in that kind of thing, like what were your sort of expectations of that versus what was the actual day-to-day like how did those two things meet?
Well, I mean, I honestly think it was the perfect situation due to the fact I had no idea what I was doing. I think sometimes that showed, but I was really good at faking it. And this is so stupid, but I had gone right after I failed out of Georgia Southern. We had gone during the summer. We went to visit my mom's side of the family in Morgantown, West Virginia. We were there for like 2 weeks and I was bored stiff. And I was also feeling down. I was like, I just failed out of college. Like I'm screwed. I was like, my dad doesn't even really know the full extent of it yet. Yeah. So I'm like, I started binge watching a TV show, and it was this TV show on Hulu called Nashville.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was just about the country music scene, and they showed like managers' day-to-days on there, even though it's fake.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I'm going to act like these guys.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So I just like role played in my mind. No one knew it.
Just studied their mannerisms and shit.
I just was like playing the part. I had no idea.
That's fantastic though. Again, fake it till you make it. That's great. That's killer.
That's awesome.
And I mean, I guess like had he blown up, the artist that I was managing, had he blown up to like a crazy extent, and I would have been like, I'll be honest, dude, I have no idea what's happening.
Out of your depth. Yeah.
And I would have probably messed something up significantly. But at the time, it was just like, hey, like social media, I'm seeing what other people are doing on social media. Let's try and take bits and pieces from everybody. Let's get you writing with people. It was kind of, I don't want to say easy, but it was like we had something good going to where we could figure it out. And he knew enough.
Yeah.
But I got to like meet a bunch of people that I could go and ask.
That's awesome. That's
so I mean, I think that was the best for me. And while I was doing that, I had met a guy named Cody Cause. I think this was the major turning point for me. I had met a guy named Cody Cause, and he was from Pueblo, Colorado. Just moved to Nashville and signed a record, like a development deal under a country artist named Craig Campbell that had just started his label.
Okay.
So like, again, this Craig Campbell to me is a legend. So now Cody and I are friends, and we're, you know, chatting it up, and he's like, hey man, like, you should try, you're already managing this guy, you should try managing me. I was like, okay, now I'm going to manage 2 artists. But now I have to go have a meeting with Cody and then Craig Campbell, this artist that I've like heard on the radio my whole life, and his manager. And his manager's going to clock me early and be like, this guy has no idea what's happening.
What he's doing.
Yeah. So I went there and I didn't say a word. I just sat there and listened. And I think it was pretty blatant that I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I watched the way his manager worked, and I learned a lot from that. So I was like, whatever she's doing, and she was helping, at the time she was helping Cody as well.
Okay.
So I was like, whatever she's doing, I'm going to do that. So then like I just started taking things that she was doing and kind of just blended that into my managerial like attributes, I guess. And yeah, I mean,
there's so many facets to what a manager can cover, and in my mind, right? Like, 'cause my only I used to work with, or I used to have as an artist, I'm a songwriter as well. And as an artist, I used to work with like an artist development agency for a while, and that kind of, you know, sort of works in that same world of material. But yeah, that covers so much. How do you sort of decide where to put your focus when you're starting off in that way, right? Like, what to you was the way you could kind of catalog, okay, these things over here are important, I think we should focus on these things aren't, because there's just so much on the table. How did you get to kind of focus up on the things that you thought were going to be a payoff for whomever it was you were managing at the time? Like, did you have a process for that, or was it more just sort of feeling it out?
I think it was a lot of feeling it out. And to me, I mean, it's the same, I still have the same thought process where everything's artist driven to me. So granted, I handle things, but I'm like, I'll let the artist steer the ship, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of people may do it the other way. My thought process is like, if you're telling an artist like what they need to focus on, or like, I guess you could do that, but it's like, to me, I want the artist to be like, hey, here's what I feel is the most important. You want them to shine
through and be able to kind of help. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Here's what I think is important. Like, if they want to record a record, you know, if they think, I don't care about social media, like, I just want to put out music that I love. I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'm going to make it a priority to make sure you get the best songs possible, and then make sure you get the best producer possible, and go get this record done. And I understand social media is important. You don't want to do it. Like, let's find a happy medium where I'm posting, you're posting, we can figure that out.
That makes a lot of sense.
But as long as you feel the music is at the forefront of what we're doing, then so
Nice.
Just situations like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess like, so when I was managing that artist and had that meeting, and I managed him for quite some time, and during all this, I got to meet a lot more people. Started working for Raised Rowdy, the company that I had listened to for so long. Did writers rounds for them. I had an intern for a writers round, so I got to meet a lot of writers and artists. But I mean, even then, that was so cool, just experiencing artists that were on the, like, that are massive now.
Yeah.
So like Ella Langley, I mean, I was a huge fan of Ella, and she really, like, her stuff, like, her streams weren't crazy, her numbers weren't crazy. It was, you saw it and you're like, this girl's gonna blow up. And for me, being in Nashville, that was the first artist that I got to see and like be around before anything happened. And then now she's an A-lister that's blowing up.
That's gotta be an exciting thing to sort of see something in its infancy like that and have that emotional investment in, and think, no, like, I know this is going to work. And then when it pays off, I'm sure it gives you a little bit of a confidence boost. Like, okay, I clocked that.
Do you feel like you can usually tell like the ones who are going to blow up and who aren't? Like, is it obvious, or?
I don't think in today's world.
Really?
Maybe a couple years ago. I know TikTok has been around for a while. And Ella was one of the ones where you saw her, and like, even when she walked into the bar, like if she was going to play a writer's round, she would walk in being, at the time, not a nobody, but like, wasn't a household name. And she would walk in and you'd be like you would think that was somebody.
Yeah.
No matter the level she was at. So it was just something like that, and she would go on stage, and it was just so commanding to where you're like, she's gonna be something. Mm-hmm. But today it's like TikTok is such a big deal that, I mean, I could probably start singing on TikTok and I would have something blow up. And it's all it takes is one video and everyone's reaching out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, for us, at least with this thing, you know, a lot of what we, a lot of, like with anything, you just kind of contrast against the things that you know. And for the last little while, this has kind of been our focus. So, like, outside of, you know, we still obviously do a lot of other music stuff, but I haven't been playing as many gigs, so to speak, you know. And it is really interesting to see how social media is, how it's firing right now, because, you know, we put out a bunch, you know, like we'll put out clips and just shit like that throughout the week, and it's so interesting to see the ones that, well, yeah, like a couple thousand views, and then it, for whatever reason, like the one clip on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, for whatever reason, that one, which neither of us could clock, does well for...
Yeah, I think half of our followers are from like this one clip.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
But it's so, yeah, it's so strange. Like, I wonder, as someone who, I mean, you obviously take that seriously, and that's obviously an important aspect of like what it is you do day to day. Have you found that when you are working with an artist, that there are certain approaches that you think have a better batting average than others when you're trying to make content and stuff like that? Or do you feel like it is just kind of like just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks?
I mean,
every artist listening is like, please, what?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, whatever I say, you have to take with a grain of salt due to the fact you never know what works.
Yeah.
And like, for me, seeing an artist, I mean, I could probably get a good gauge of what's gonna last for a year and what's gonna have like great longevity. But as far as content, I mean, everything varies. Like, you could have an artist that, you know, blows up by getting iPhone content of themselves in a car singing, and it gets millions and millions of views. Someone signs them, they start going on big tours, and now they're getting high quality content, and like that high quality content's not getting any views. Yeah. It's like people want to discover. People want to, it's like Oliver Anthony, if you remember when that blew up. It was like this guy that looks like he's been surviving in the woods for years and months.
I'm getting there with my beard at the moment.
You got the Oliver Anthony vibe. But people were like, this guy's insane.
Yeah.
And he's just like a guy in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like people just love authenticity instead of it being manufactured, like us trying,
For
like
sure.
you're trying to promote your music. And it's different for everyone. I mean, if someone's promoting their music or just it's authentic, I'm still going to watch it.
Yeah.
And if I like your voice, I like your voice. But I mean, even back then, like when I was working with these artists and I was younger and newer and just greener to it all, I didn't have the answers to it. It was just kind of just throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah.
And I still don't have the answers, but during all this time, I had met an artist named Trey Lewis. And he's the guy who sings Dick Down in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
But through Raised Rowdy, we had decided to go with him on the road to his hometown show in Birmingham, Alabama. So we went, and he was signed, or is signed, still, I think, to CAA.
Okay.
Which is a booking agency here in town. It's a big corporation. And I got to meet his agents, and that was, to me, just a big like achievement, just to be able to be in a room with those type of people.
Yeah.
And I got to build great relationships on that trip, and not but 3 months later, I got a DM on Instagram with like that my name got put into the ring for an A&R job, part-time A&R
that's
job.
Amazing.
So I took the meeting, got the job, was just an A&R scout. So I was getting to manage and do what I did, and just be an A&R scout for...
So, I mean, I guess just to kind of break it down to the fundamentals here, on a sort of very basic level, what is the difference in the rules that a manager serves with an artist versus someone in A&R for that same artist? Like, what kind of world are they both working in?
Yeah, so management kind of oversees everything. Like, you are acting... Like, if an artist didn't have a manager, they would be the ones having to oversee.
On behalf of the artist.
Yeah, so I guess it just depends what parts of the industry, like what part of the team has been built already for the artist. So if they have a publisher, if they have a booking agent, if they have a lawyer, things like that, you're just putting pieces together.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And especially for a rising independent artist, you have to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you can't be their lawyer, but you have to be the one that goes out and meets with them and does all that. So it's just putting all the pieces together, helping, you know, things flow and getting from A to B and B to C. So A&R is like being at a label and pretty much just being a part of the recording process. You know, if the manager and the artist are like, hey, here's 10 songs I really love, but the label's like, we're going to record, let's focus on your 3 next songs, or your next 3 songs. And that's the A&R's job to kind of figure out, all right, like, which 3 of these 10 do we want to record, get into the studio, get them recorded, and all that stuff. But I wasn't there yet. I was just an A&R scout, because that's the other half of the A&R job is scouting the talent you want to sign. So they just wanted someone that was boots on the ground, going to stuff, and that was young and hungry.
That's like best case scenario, man.
Yeah.
That's killer. Yeah.
So I just got to go out to rounds and just be out on the town. A lot of nights at Red Door, a lot of nights at Losers and Winners at the time, and I got to just go see people play, and I loved it. And I got to meet.
When you're in that, not to cut you off,
No, you're good.
when you're in that situation and you're like, okay, this is the new hat I'm wearing. Is there sort of anything specific that you are looking for in artists at that point, or is it really just something to catch my attention?
It was just something that catch my attention, because I always wanted to go into every meeting we had. I pretty much just would, you know, jot their name down, and then I would create a sheet and I would put some information in a picture, and I would just like present it.
Oh, that's great.
Like a school presentation. I would be like, hey, this is an artist that I found. And eventually I got promoted, not necessarily promoted, I got hired full time, and I was an A&R coordinator. So I just leveled up to where now I was not just scouting, I was working on our actual roster that we had and helping through the recording process. And then I think it was like not too long after I moved up in the company that I found this kid on TikTok named Hunter Hayes, not the Hunter Hayes from like 2013-14 era, but he posted this video. He was sitting on his bathroom floor and just singing an original song called Letting Go.
That's probably the best thing you can do on your bathroom floor for TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it was just raw, and it was authentic, and like the song was about a drinking problem. And I was like, this is just so raw, just so good. So I reached out, and we had messaged back and forth a couple times, and my boss ended up really liking him. So when he was in town, we brought him in for a meeting. It went well. We were like, you know, just send us songs whenever you write them. So we did. And then he came back for a second meeting when he came to town again, and we ended up just signing him. We changed his name, his stage name, to Hayes. And so I've been managing him and working on him.
That's killer.
We've had him for the past year. His stuff has grown significantly, and it's been a blast.
That's beautiful.
But that was my first, like, oh, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like, I brought in this artist, and we just signed him, and it changed his life. And now I get to like work on him every day.
That's incredible. It's got to be such a cool feeling too.
Yeah, it didn't feel real for a long time until I was like in it for a while. It's like,
it feels like, oh, like I'm faking this.
well, like when we had just had the meeting with him, and they were gonna go to lunch. Like, him and some friends were gonna go to lunch, and I was gonna meet him there. Well, I stayed back after he left, and my boss was like, I think it makes sense. Like, let's just do it. And she was like, you want to be the one to go tell him?
Oh,
So I got to show up at that lunch and be like, hey, you want to sign a record deal?
that's beautiful. Man. That's so cool.
Oh, yeah. I was almost in tears.
Yeah.
I felt like a little kid at Christmas. I was like, this is so cool. This is like what I've dreamed of. So, yeah, that was a cool moment. Ever since then, it's just been constant going. I've learned so much. I mean, not too long after that, I got a call from my boss. He was like, hey, I found someone in Lubbock, Texas, and he's young. He hasn't put out music yet, but he's going to blow up. Just wait. No joke. Not long after that kid posted a video on TikTok, and it got millions and millions and millions and millions of views. and we helped him put the song out, and it just went stupid.
That's amazing.
And we've had him ever since. It's Hudson Westbrook, and
oh yeah, we were just talking about him.
like it's been a rocket ship, and that's like, for me, it's all new to me. Like I've worked on management, I've done stuff in the past, but just seeing that like firsthand and seeing everything that goes into it, it's just been it's been insane. And like for me, I never came into the music business being like, I just want to like, I don't know how else to word it other than just like when I say big dick everybody, like I never wanted to like be like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a fly on the wall in cool rooms and just learn. So that's the position I've been in now, is I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have like been a part of that career starting and just watching it and being so close to it, because I've got to learn so much that I'll have for the rest of my career, no matter what happens. Like I just got to learn so much, and I learn more and more every day.
That's amazing.
Seeing from him go to a student in Lubbock, Texas at Texas Tech to like an amphitheater act, an arena act.
That's gotta be, and it's gotta be amazing to be just in those rooms with those people and think, God, there's like so much here that I can take in and learn. Like one of the things I'm curious about too, in that regard, is when you are scouting for artists, or you're scouting for talent rather, do you find that, I think oftentimes in the Nashville scene, I'm sure this is true in other music scenes as well, but there's the sort of artist path, which a lot of people are really, that's what they want to do. That's what their goal is. And then there's the songwriter, the whole sort of behind the scenes. Like I just want to write songs for other people and have that be how I'm paying the bills. Do you find that you can kind of pigeonhole people as you go and figure out, okay, I think this person has potential as an artist, or this person has potential as a songwriter, et cetera? Or do you find that you're sort of more investing in the whole? I don't know if that makes sense, but do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's a mix of both, because sometimes you see something in an artist or a musician that wants to just like be a songwriter, but you see something and you're like, this could be something. And a prime example of that is Michael Hardy. He was just comfortable writing songs for Florida Georgia Line, and then eventually Morgan Wallen. And then now all these songs are going #1. They're on the radio. He's having a huge success, to where like he just started doing his artist thing, and now he's Hardy, and I'm wearing his shirt. I didn't even realize I was wearing his shirt right now.
Shout out to him, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, things like that, to where it just, it just depends, you know?
That makes sense.
And also, we do have a publishing department for the company that I work for. I don't work on that at all. Yeah. Every now and then I'll be like, hey, like, there's this great songwriter that you guys should look at. Okay, and I bring him up and, give all the info, and then they do whatever they want with it. Whether they can look at it or not look at it. But either way, I mean, I'm a fan of it all. Like I'm always, like, I just love it. Like I love music. That's
so killer. I mean, that's awesome that that's your mindset in that world. You know what I mean? Like, because it is one of those things. I mean, I think that it's such a, you can smell it when people are doing this for, I don't want to say the right reasons, but when they're just passionate about it, you can smell it. You know what I mean? And when any facet of the music business, that's such a beautiful thing. That's amazing. Do you think one of the things that I also want to ask you about was, it's such, living in 2025 is really interesting, because the progression of technology, or whatever you want to call it, is so fast right now. It feels like, the skill sets that are going to serve you in 2024 aren't going to necessarily be the skill sets that serve you in 2025 or 2026. And so it feels like you're constantly having to adapt in all realms of music, right? Whether you're an artist, whether you're a manager, whether you're working in whatever world of, and this is probably transcends music. I'm sure this is in any business, but how do you find how do you work on that skill set to adapt yourself, to know that, okay, the skills I was learning when I was just coming into this thing aren't necessarily going to be applicable right now. And the skills that I'm learning right now aren't necessarily going to be applicable in 5 years from now when I'm dealing with artists then. Like, how do you think on your feet in that way that you can stay up to date and that you can stay relevant with all of the stuff that's happening right now? But also give the attention that is needed to whatever those skills are. I mean, social media is probably a prime example of that, right? Like, just our relationship to social media changes so quickly. Like, how do you go about even thinking about that Pandora's box?
I mean, it's all, I have to come to the realization that everybody has to, like, everybody's adapting to the same things.
Yeah, we're all fucked.
Yeah. So it's like, it's all trial by fire. Like, when a new social media platform comes out, like, or even when TikTok was down.
Yeah.
When TikTok was going to be banned,
That was like the dark ages for like 2 days right there.
we're all like, okay, so the music industry just died.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out like what to do. So people are like YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, like all these different things. That's going to be the new TikTok. Or like, now there's this, they had that app where everything was in Chinese.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've heard of
What
that
was
one.
God, what was it? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. It is wild. I mean, it's such a Brian and I talk about this all the time. It's such a weird time to be alive because I also think that this is only going to get exponentially worse, if you want to say worse. It's only going to continue to get crazy in that sense because, I mean, where all this is going with stuff like AI. I mean, who the hell knows? Alexa was just saying earlier today about this this band that's happening on. There's an AI band, the Velvet Sun.
Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah,
dude, it's
insane.
crazy.
I was talking to someone yesterday about this. I had no idea, and they just said it to me yesterday, and I was like, "There's no way."
It's insane.
Yeah.
And then there's
Honestly,
an artist that
the music
signed like
kinda
a.
slaps.
It's not bad at all. It's like pretty decent. Like you can, if you mention that it's AI, you'll be like, oh yeah, it sounds a little weird. But if you're just listening to a playlist and that comes on, you would have no idea.
Well, honestly, AI is. At first, I was like, people were saying, "Oh, it scares me," but now it's like really starting to scare the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, don't even get me
Well,
started.
because I'm like, some of the artists that I work with are like, you know, like you have track guys in a room. So you have like, I mean, you know how writing rooms work. You typically have like 2 like top liners, like 2 lyricists, and then you'll have like a track guy in the room. Well, now a lot of these track guys, instead of having the like artists or whatever in the room lay vocals, they're just AI generating these vocals. Yeah, so you're getting AI demos, or like you could get a work tape. It's like if you're in a write and all you get is a work tape, there's no track guy, and you can just do an AI demo. Mm-hmm. Like one of my artists just did that, and it sounds like a radio song.
That's wild.
Like it sounds like a voice on the radio already. And I'm like, this is absolutely wild.
I wonder if in the future, and this is going to sound very Blade Runner-y, but I do. This is where my mind goes to with these things. I wonder if in the future there will be people in working in a similar capacity as to yourself, but instead of working with artists, they're going to be working, like they will essentially be managing AI. I don't want to call it code, but like AI. Like copyright almost over certain like fake artists. I feel like that's almost like where this has to go. Because Brian and I were talking about this earlier today when Alexa was showing this. Like, I really do feel like that there's going to be, and we're already kind of starting to see this, but there's almost going to have to be a break culturally where you have, okay, there is all of this stuff over here that is being, where AI is interplaying with it, and where you have AI, whether it's full on AI bands or whatnot. And then over here, you have what's going to almost be like the boutique artistry of what people make. Like it's going to be like buying like a fucking table. Like you can have a table that's mass produced and is, you know, carved by a machine shop. That's just, you know, you get what you pay for. Great. And then you can buy a nice hand carved boutique expensive table that's been made by a person that's imperfect, and they're going to be in the same market, but there's going to be two sub markets within that market, and I don't really see how it's going to go any other way unless AI just takes over everything. Like I don't really see how else it's going to go. But do you imagine a world where there will be people like yourself, but who manage fake artists or like AI artists. I don't know how that works. I mean, you know? I'm totally derailing this, but I'm just so curious.
You'd like to think, not like to think, but you'd have to think that that's probably inevitable. But also,
for sure, yeah.
Like I've seen so many. I mean, I don't want to speak like I've been in the industry for a long time because I haven't.
But that's the fun of a podcast. Just go for it.
Yeah. Like when I first started, it was when NFTs were like huge, and it worked its way into the music industry, and people were like artists had their own NFT lines to where you were buying like. Do you guys know the Nelk Boys?
I know.
Yeah,
the
they're
YouTubers, like the frat YouTubers.
I've seen them.
Yeah, so they had like a card that you could get, and it was like this whole NFT, like you got exclusive stuff, and it was like, or I mean, a bunch of people had stuff. Like Brian Kelly from Florida Georgia Line had this thing called Chill Cowboy Club, and it was like you buy an NFT and you get perks from it. Like you get, like they had meetups, and they were gonna do their own festival and all this stuff, and they were gonna do a bunch of stuff, and all these artists were into it, and then all of a sudden it's just gone.
The NFT thing was bizarre because I feel like there were maybe realistically probably a couple months where that was the hot thing. But what I never understood about it is, let's contrast that against like Bitcoin or something like that, right? That you can sit down and you can have a conversation about it, and you can understand the general principle of something like that, right? Yeah. Now you might like disagree on how you think that'll actually interplay with the world, but like you can get it. You can talk about something like that and totally intellectually understand how that works and the idea behind it, right? The NFT thing, it was like any time I heard anyone talk about it, no one could like wrap their mind around what the actual thing was. Yeah. It was like almost just like a con. Like the whole thing was just this weird con that blew up.
I mean, I think there is like a lot of cool applications for NFTs in like the artist world, but unfortunately, I think like especially during that time with the crypto market just exploding, I think so many people were making so much fucking money off these things that inevitably
it became like a scam.
You just have a bunch of people just like.
Didn't Haley Welch, the Haktua girl?
She got
busted in some of that stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like that was probably just more poor management.
I think when there's that crazy amount of money coming in, like just scams are bound to happen.
But it was a very short-lived again, this was a little while ago, so my memory may not serve me best here, but I remember that being a pretty short-lived thing where like that was the top of, that was huge.
Yeah, I think just like the crypto market crashed, and then everyone lost their money and was like, okay, fuck this.
We're done.
I could see that coming back though.
Yeah. Some of my buddies, and sorry if they're listening to this and they hear me tell this, because I love you guys, but they pitched me the idea of, so at the time, everything, it was like Web3, I think is what it was called, like all that NFT realm stuff. They were like, NFTs are going to be huge, and we should sell NFTs. Like we can get all this stuff and do this and that, and then have exclusive music that where you buy an NFT and it's like connected to a song, and then you get like just things like that. And they wanted to create a Web3 record label to where it was all NFT based.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't get it. I mean, we would spend hours and hours, like 3 hours talking about it. He would explain it to me, and I'm like, I still don't get it, dude.
Here's what I don't get, right? Because I'm probably in the exact same boat as you. It's like, what is an NFT, right? In the sense that like I can understand a paywall, right? Like so, for example, like we like a Patreon for this, right? Where you could put up like bonus content or whatever, or just people want to like come for whatever reason, help out the channel, all that kind of stuff. That makes sense. Like a paywall, something like that is exclusive. I can understand the theory behind something like that, right? And that there could be perks that go along with that. You get bonus, more videos, photos, whatever, right? That's why OnlyFans is
subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Exactly.
Someone had to say it.
We thought about it for a while. We were like, when we were launching this, we were like, it would be hilarious if like our paywall was OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But we ended up going with Patreon, whatever. But point being that like that makes sense to me. Again, like I can understand how that functions. An NFT is like, what is it? Is it like an image? Is it it's so like out of your, it's like
I think the idea
smoke,
is like basically like an asset or a collectible thing, like that's digital.
It's one of one
Pokemon card.
Yeah.
That you're the only person in the world that owns that one NFT.
And because it's on like the blockchain or whatever, it is verifiable as like
the thing.
You know.
I guess
and there's other cool things too, where like smart contracts and stuff. Like you can have it so where one person, like let's say you're an artist, you want to make an NFT of a song, right? Like you have a bunch of fans who buy these and they can trade them to each other, and you can like encode to where every time it's traded, like a portion gets kicked back to you. Like,
are we gonna start? Are we gonna make an NFT after this?
Yeah, but
I can't wait to see you guys pictures, your mug shots.
It could be like a couple, 5% for every transaction. So that's where I could see like where it could be a cool thing for an artist to put out, and then you could like make money off of that by like getting a percentage of every transaction when it's traded.
I get that.
You should be so rich,
right? Oh
until all
I know. Roosic NFTs coming soon. No, but yeah, it is one of those things where like just people were making so much money, so then just scams happened, and then
interesting
lack of regulation in there too. It's became a mess.
I feel much more learned now.
After everything you just said, I still don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, so it's like a song?
I don't know.
All right, so can we start from the beginning?
I don't really get it either, to be honest.
Well, you sounded convincing. That was good.
Yeah, I was like, I'll do it.
I was on board. Like the whole time you were talking, I was like, I'm sold. Let's do it. Okay, so when you once you start working with an artist, right? Because at this point, are you still in that kind of scouting world, or is it?
So my title is artist management and then A&R coordinator. On the artist management side, I work on teams like Austin Snell and Hudson Westbrook, and I do that's like less being the manager. Like I'm so far from the manager. I just do like tour management and kind of work in that, like making sure once shows get booked that I'm like dealing with the venue and working on the announcement. Like if we're going to announce a tour, I get all the graphics made, line that up with the venue, get the ticket links and all that stuff.
Because I kind of imagine that like so much of your job is almost like acting as a middleman for a million other people.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I sort of imagine when you're dealing with bigger artists like that who have all of these other things at play, whether it's booking or publishing or whatnot. So you're really acting as the middleman that has to keep everything structured and together.
Yeah. So for those two artists that I guess work on their management teams, it's like Hudson. I've been a part of his management team for over a year now, so I've seen it from the beginning. And to me, it was less of like, it was always just a learning thing. Like I just wanted to learn and from my boss how to manage at a higher level than what I've experienced before. And that's been great learning that. But then as he got bigger and more people started to come onto the team, I've transitioned into more just working in his touring realm.
Oh, that's cool.
So same with Austin Snell. And then, I do manage like more development clients that aren't at that level yet. But I manage them fully.
Gotcha.
And then I do the A&R stuff for my company as well. That does like working with our entire label roster. We do have a director of A&R that I work underneath and kind of just, he's the one that does all the heavy lifting and I kind of just, I'm the coordinator. So coordinating all the other stuff. And then I do still scout and look for new people all the time. So that's essentially my job in a nutshell.
Because there's so many facets to what you do, what's the thing that you think is the most fun? Like, what's the thing that you really enjoy the most out of all of it?
It's always been artist management. It's what I've known. It's what I came into the business knowing, to an extent. But you learn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always what I've loved, and it's to me the coolest aspect of it because it gives you the ability to have your hand in everything. Like, if you ask me right now, like, for example, my brother he went and played baseball at, he played college baseball at Daytona State College for 2 years, junior college, and now he's playing baseball at Belmont.
Oh, killer.
But the dream was always to come to Belmont and be in the music business because he wanted to do what I do. So like even last night, we were hanging out with some friends and they were like, "Oh, Preston, like, what do you want to do in the business?" And he was like, "I don't know. I love it all."
Yeah.
So that's how I am. Like, I love the publishing. I love the booking. I love the managing. I love the label side. So it's hard for me to choose. If you ask me right now, like, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one of those I like more than the other. Management, you get to see it all.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
You get to work with the publishers to make sure, you get to work with the booking agents. You get to do it all. And that's
really awesome.
Like, it's, to me, the best thing you could possibly do.
Oh yeah. Well, that's gotta be, that's gotta be a headache sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, just to keep all of it together, because it is, especially when you're dealing with, when you are dealing with a really established artist that's doing really well. Do you find that that's easier or harder to juggle all of that versus a newer up and coming artist that maybe doesn't have all of those other appendages there yet? Do you feel like it's harder to work with all of the abundance of stuff going on with a really established act, or do you feel like it's harder to deal with somebody who's new that doesn't quite have all of that stuff squared away yet?
I mean, I guess the blatant answer to that is it's always easier to work with the less established artist because it's less work, like less that you have to do. You kind of just like, if something comes up, you're like, oh, cool, let me tackle that.
Yeah.
So, but I have seen, like with my boss, I've seen how much goes into, like, the bigger the artist gets, the more that is going on, where it gets hard to do it just by yourself, to where you have a bigger team. Like, that's why I've taken on certain things. And there's a day-to-day manager that does pretty much like essentially like all the like dirty work of like in the trenches of the calendars and the flights and doing stuff like that. And that's like, I respect the hell out of people that can do that, because that's like, if you then you're small screwed. Detail you miss, something could get messed up. So that life isn't for everybody. But then again, like, if there's more going on, like, you have a lot more to do.
Yeah.
And then if it's a developing artist that doesn't have a ton going on, like, depending the artist, sometimes they look to you to be like, hey, make something happen.
And to guide in a way, and like,
And an artist manager, like, you're not a magician. You can't just like snap your fingers and something happens. The artist has to play a part in that too. But you are like trying to advance them and taking what they're able to do and try and have that seen.
Yeah.
So.
And the stakes are higher too. If you're more established, I imagine that the stakes feel higher as well. So it's harder. It might be a harder ship to turn because everyone's a little more hesitant of making those kind of decisions. Do you, you work within the country world right now. Do you ever want to branch outside of that, or do you feel like this is where I'm happy? This is what I like doing.
I love country music. It's really all I've known. I think in country today, there is an opportunity to be outside of it. And I don't think I would ever go like, I mean, I don't know necessarily how to word it, but I love a lot of genres. Like, I love rock music. I love rap. I love like pop. Like, there's a lot of artists that I listen to. It's a wide variety, but also Nickelback is making their way into a lot of Nickelback talk today.
We're gonna get you to manage Nickelback one day. Okay, it's gonna happen.
Oh, Chief has that. We love the core, but hey, guys, if Nickelback, you ever want to come?
Yeah, but if something happens, you're ready to go.
I'm your guy. No, but like Tate McRae and like, she has that duet with Morgan Wallen. Jesse Murph is in the country scene. So there's like so much crossover that it's like, I kind of already am working in other genres, just because even when I'm scouting, if I find a pop artist, I'm like, that's it.
That's awesome. That's cool. So it doesn't feel like you're pigeonholed to just working within this one scene.
Just because the lines are so blurred within genres now.
That's what's really happening, which is so interesting. One of the things that Brian and I talk about a lot is how technology sort of interplays with music. I mean, it's always been the case, right? For as long as we've made music, technology's had a role in that. But nowadays, with just the way we consume music, right? Just the fact that I can pull up my phone and all of recorded music is the last 180 years of us making shit and putting it and recording it is in my hand, which is insane, right? But that changes a lot, right? Like, that changes, you, myself, everyone in the world has access to all of that. And so because of that, we're all kind of our own independent genres in a way. And one of the things that we've talked about quite a bit, which I kind of want to hear your take on, is I think what that inevitably does in my eyes to the music world is the what we'll call pop music, right? The sort of mass produce music, the stuff that's, you know, made for a wider audience, right? Because everyone is so has access to all of that and has their own very distinct idiosyncratic tastes and things. That net has to be cast so wide, right? You kind of have to have like the biggest target possible in the middle because you're trying to just get everyone in there. And I think because of that, it makes all of these different elements of pop music bleed into each other in really interesting ways. So like, you know, and we're seeing it kind of play out in real time where artists like Post Malone will go from whatever you kind of want to, you know, whatever that world he was in, kind of like the pop rap world, to country, to like everything starts to kind of bleed into one another in really interesting ways. Whereas all of the other stuff outside of that on the fringes might be more distinct and unique in the sense that, you know, if you're not trying to cast that wide net, well, it can just be the lump sum total of all the shit that you like to listen to. So like, how do you think at this point, and this is a very long-winded way of asking this question, Jesus, but how do you think that technology is playing into the kind of development of pop music right now?
I mean, I just think like trends are everything, and people like to just, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily have an answer for that. I mean, I think trends are everything, and like social media and everything, just like,
it's such a powerful tool.
It defines what works and doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And like, I think Post Malone is also like, people are weird. Like, people are weird. It's like Post Malone wants to do country. Like everyone wants to do country.
Yeah.
But like Post Malone makes this transition and like starts collaborating. Now he's like a country artist, and then people are like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Beyonce goes and does it, and people are like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not.
Do you think it's, and again, I don't have the answer to this. Do you think on mass, it has anything to do with authenticity, in the sense that, do you think that when certain people do it, like Post Malone, do you think that people receive it well because they can feel for whatever, and again, I don't know how I stand on this, but do you think that it's because people feel, oh no, that's authentic to what that person wants to be doing? Whereas if someone like Beyonce or whomever dips their foot into something else, people can, again, they can kind of smell that this isn't like, there's dollar signs behind this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because surely, like, there's probably a lot of big artists who are like, oh, country's the hot thing right there. I should probably 100%. Shift over there. That's where the money's at, you know?
Yeah,
I think people can smell that.
I do think they can. I think there's a certain, and again, that's not. Those are just sort of two very specific examples. But like, I do think there's something to that. I think people can kind of tell, for whatever reason. I might be talking out my ass here, but I usually am. But I think they can kind of tell when there's something authentic there, when someone is really interested in that world and wants to like play in it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that makes sense, and I've definitely thought about that. But I guess it's like, it's hard to tell like what really is. Like, I mean, Post Malone could have been like, oh, you know, like, my stuff isn't going to work as much if I'm doing this, even though it was.
It could have been a trend thing. He could have seen like, oh no, it's going in this direction. Let's just go the way the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
You never know.
I think it is authentic with him though, because I remember seeing videos of him like playing country songs, like even long before he was like doing that as his thing.
It absolutely is. But I'm just saying, like, I think in general, you never know who's pulling the wool over your eyes, you know. But
even if you're, then again, like, you could think about country artists nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you name any artist, they could be, you know, like, maybe they didn't grow up country. Yeah. They just like, I'm gonna sing, and I'm just gonna sing country music because that's what's cool.
Yeah. And we actually recently we had a conversation with Sterling Drake, who is a songwriter and a great performer. He works in the kind of like the traditional country scene here, and he works as a cowboy. Like, that's his job. Is he in Wyoming, works as a cowboy, and you know, he's a guy we've known for years, and a buddy of ours we hadn't talked to in a while, and we were kind of talking about that sort of like gatekeeper mindset that happens with these sort of things, where it's like, not just in music, but even something like ranching, where it's like, whatever the background is, like, who fucking cares? Like, if this person is competent and they want in on this thing and they want to like commit themselves to the craft of the thing, fucking go for it. You know what I mean? Like, we need more people passionate about different things. So it's like that's my feeling with art as a whole. It's like, if someone's passionate about whatever it is they're doing, like, get out of the way and like help. And if you're someone who is in that world and you have the ability to, you know, guide and teach, like, show them, like, you want people in the thing that you do to be as competent as possible in the thing that you do, and hopefully that you love, you know. So whenever someone approaches those kind of things with antagonism, it feels weird to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just,
I think as long as the love and the passion is there, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's huge.
Yeah, but honestly, like, that is what I love about Nashville.
Oh, for sure.
In like a different way of this conversation, I guess. The people here in Nashville, it's like, I never had a problem getting help. So if I had like questions or I wanted to learn, I reached out to someone, they were always willing to like take a meeting with me. Even though if I was like brand new to town, like, hey, I just moved here. Like, I manage this guy. And of course they have no idea who that guy is. Yeah. And they still took a meeting with me and like listened to what I had to say and answered the questions that I asked. And a lot of people took a chance on me, which is like, I don't know if you go to the New York and LA or like Atlanta music scene, like just anywhere there, if people would do the same thing. Yeah. So Nashville's such a tight knit community. And for me, it was like I had mentioned, listening to those podcasts and stuff and trying to figure all that out through listening to podcasts and reaching out to people. When I got involved with Raised Rowdy, I was like, hey, what if we like started a podcast that was strictly music business?
Oh, that's really cool.
So I started a podcast called Behind the Music Biz that I haven't done it in a while because I've been so busy, but like I started one that I would bring on like managers and all these different,
that's incredible. That's
like
awesome.
Executives and all these people that just worked in the business and just heard their story. And I've had people come up to me, like I was in Tampa, I had someone come up to me and was like, hey, I reached out to so-and-so after listening to the podcast with them. And we went and met up and like they taught me so much. And then, you know, next time I saw them, they offered me a job on the road.
Well, that's killer.
Yeah. And it's things like that where my goal with that was always to, like, I was listening to podcasts, trying to learn from other people's stories. And it was never really industry, like executives. It was always like artists and stuff. And I just kind of had to take what their story was and apply it to my own life and in my own path. But like you can hear manager stories and how they got into it, and everybody has a different story. Like everybody comes from somewhere different. Everybody did it a different way, and it's so cool to hear other people's stories. Like, and I'm glad you guys are starting to bring on, like, you have artists and songwriters, and you have people like me that don't fucking matter.
No, I think, but people like you though, I feel like that is like a demographic that like kind of doesn't, like the people behind everyone's seen the interview with the artists and like the stars and stuff, but like, you know, a lot of people are interested in the stuff behind the scenes, and like those people aren't interviewed enough, you know. So it's good to get that perspective. And
it's an easy way, like when I'm on a podcast like this, I can show it to my grandma when she doesn't understand what I do. I'm like, Grandma, just listen to this podcast, so you don't have to ask me every Thanksgiving.
I do think that with whatever you do, kind of bring it back to what we were saying earlier, I do think it a lot of it just comes down to doing what you're passionate about. And it seems like for you, you've found this thing that for whatever reason you got your foot in the door with this thing that you really loved. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know if there's a secret to life, but it seems like if there is one, it's probably something close to that, you know? And Nashville is such a welcoming, I mean, even just this stupid show that we do, I mean, like the fact that we've been doing less than a year, and like the people that we've got on just from like, you know, I do most of our booking, and, I'll like reach out to people like, there's no fucking way this person's going to want to, and they'll come on the show, or it's like, that's fucking crazy. Like that's such a cool world that like, you know, we do this in, you know, Brian and Alexa's, you know, living room in their kitchen, and like, we'll just have people come in here that are like, there's no fucking way this person's going to come in, you know, like,
I'll tell you one thing, no matter who you are, and you can say you don't like to and all this stuff and be humble, but no matter who you are, everybody loves an opportunity to talk about themselves. Every single person. Probably. If you give them the opportunity to talk about themselves, you're like, Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That is probably our secret weapon right now. It's like, do you want to come in and like play some of your music that we'll like, put out there for people and talk about yourself? Like, yeah, okay, that's probably a pretty good deal. That's a sweet deal for most people.
Thanks.
That's so killer. What's kind of like next for you on the horizon? Like, do you have any kind of like game plan with how you want your it sounds kind of gross when I say it this way, but like, do you have a game plan as to what you want your career path to be, like the trajectory of this, or are you just kind of in the moment and more feeling it out?
It's always in the moment. I know everyone has like a 5-year plan type of thing in a business, but like for me, it's just, I just want to, as long as I'm in the music business, like I'm doing what I love right now. And there's not a lot of people that can say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a lot of people work a job because they make good money and they hate their lives.
And most people like, and you got to be careful when talking about things like this because it can creep into cynicism, which I'm just deathly allergic to. But I feel like with most people, they just don't know what they want to do. Yeah. Like most people are, it's not that they don't have the heart for it. They don't know. Like they haven't tested the waters in that way. And I just think the more people that can just try more shit. Because you never know what that thing is going to be that grabs your attention, and whatever it is, it could be a career path, or it could just be something stupid that you like doing on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like it could be woodworking, it could be jujitsu, it could be fucking anything in the world. But like the more people who find stuff like that they're passionate about, I think that it makes the world better,
This guy sucks at jiu-jitsu.
I do. I'm so fucking bad.
I've heard, yeah.
I actually beat his ass multiple times.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. No, I actually just curl up into the fetal position every time we roll.
But like, I think that's like that's what you need. I think the more people who can do that, it does make the world better. And I think when people do find something that they love, even if it seems totally out of left field, it can change someone's life. It really can.
I mean, I grew up in a household where both my parents are financial advisors and they own a business, and that's like, I mean, they're sitting in an office all day and working. It's like, it's a stressful job. I mean, they're working with people's financials. Yeah. So it's like, there's a lot. That's all I've known. That's all I saw growing up. And I was like, no offense to them, Jesus. I was like, I never want to be that. Yeah. Like, I never want to like be putting on a suit and tie and like, all this like basic Wolf of Wall Street shit. Like just in the financial. I was like, I just don't want to be that. I want to be able to like have freedom, and I don't want to sit in an office. Yeah. I'm sitting in an office, but I get to I get to go to cool events, and I mean, you get a week during CMA Fest of like seeing people you grew up on, and just like,
that's so.
I mean, I get to work with people that I love and artists that I love, and just like, I get to do what I love, and that's the most important thing. Not a lot of people can say that, and I'm passionate about it, and I like wake up every day excited to go to work.
That's everything. That's
the dream right there.
And like you can take things like your parents and like your parents' careers and still find value out of them. Right. Like you can still pull value out of this. Oh, like these people are working their ass off. I want to work my ass off. I just want to do it in a different way. Like you can, anything in life like that you're exposed to, you can find, I don't even want to call it silver linings, but you can find those lessons in them to be like, I want to approach this and with this mindset. Yeah. Like that, and that's awesome that you had that growing up. Yeah, dude, I'm so fucking cool. I'm so fucking glad that we like got a different perspective in here. We've been talking about getting some more like music business folks in here. And so like we've had a little bit, but this has been a nice way to mix it up. Yeah,
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Like it's I love the artist stuff, and I love working with singer-songwriters and instrumentalists and folks like that, but it's kind of cool to...
You want me to play you a song?
Oh, there we go. Hell yeah, dude, let's do it. Dude, thank you so much for doing this. This was
fun. Man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Sweet. That was fantastic, man. Thank you.
Man, that was great.
Fuck yeah. What do you do?
No songwriting. I could like write a song as a joke, like a funny song that should never be played.